maintain the confidence and preserve inviolate the secrets of my client.
I will maintain the confidence and preserve inviolate the secrets of my client.
Mitch, the letter you got from Bendini, Lambert, and Locke was the only one sent out. We want you.
Do you have an offer in mind?
It includes a bonus schedule, and we'd lease you a new Mercedes.
Plus a low-interest mortgage.
As in home? With grass around?
And a 2-car garage.
These are nice people, Abby. Okay, I'm more impressed with it than you are. You grew up with it. Did you ever think I'd make a 6-figure salary?
Absolutely.
Since we deal primarily in tax and securities, our clients are very wealthy. We keep each other's secrets.
I don't want anyone with family money. I'm not sure I follow.
They want you lean and hungry.
If all your money comes from one source, then you tend to be very loyal to that source.
Marty Kaczynski and Joe Hodges were killed. There was some kind of explosion on the boat.
Kay was scared. Did you know the men who died?
Yes.
You must be overwhelmed with grief.
People grieve in different ways, Miss McDear. You think I'm talking about breaking the law?
No, I'm just trying to figure out how far you want it bent.
As far as you can without breaking it.
That room looks like a health hazard.
That's 4 dead lawyers.
None of them over the age of 45.
Where are you guys?
The FBI wouldn't have come after you if they didn't think they'd get to you. Now, what do you think made them think that?
I have no idea.
Well, they might know how important your young wife is to you.
Anything's possible. I'll tell you one thing. If those guys at the steak joint were feds, you better watch out for them.
We might be misreading McDear.
You've got nothing to be suspicious of.
I get paid to be suspicious when I got nothing to be suspicious about.
Why are you asking questions about dead lawyers? What dead lawyers?
I know you'll do your best to protect the firm. Won't you, Mitch?
We have faith that you're going to be with us for a long, long time, Mitch. The fact is, nobody has ever left us. Nobody.
I was attending the New York Film Academy in New York City when Paramount released The Firm. That was back in 1993. My first book, Born to be Wild, was under contract to be published by Warner Books, and since it was a true story, in fact, a classic saga about outlaw motorcycle gangs involving meth manufacturing and distribution, kidnapping, rape, and murders, many of the murders unsolved, before the publication process could begin, the legal team at Time Warner had to scrutinize the contents of the book to make sure no liability issues existed. The story takes 20 years to play out in real time, so it's a long book, which means I was staring at about a year's downtime and wondering what to do. Since Warner had already given me a nice advance, I decided to go to film school and learn about directing, which is another story for another day. Anyway, before watching a movie that's taken from a book, I like to read the book first. And Random House published The Firm 2 years earlier, written by John Grisham. Never heard of him before. Anyway, I bought it, read it, and loved it. By the way, one of the sexiest seduction scenes I've ever seen, of course that's just my opinion, takes place in The Firm, on the beach, between Tom Cruise and Karina Lombard. And trust me, I'll do an episode on Karina one day soon. After reading The Firm and watching the movie, over the next few years, I also read and watched A Time to Kill, The Pelican Brief, The Client, and The Rainmaker. All books written by John Grisham and all made into movies. I love the books and I love the movies. In fact, I look at John Grisham as being one of the most prolific, most successful, best-selling authors in the history of the world. So it's only natural that a few years back, when I was starting my own website, I went to his website to check the layout and get some ideas. It would be a great model to emulate. Here's what I found on his homepage. His banner caught my eye immediately, and there it was, right below his name, America's Favorite Storyteller. As soon as I read it, bullshit popped right into my mind. I mean, I love your work, John, but you're not my favorite storyteller. Sorry. You got to stand in line behind Elmore Leonard, Harold Robbins, John D. MacDonald, Ira Levin, and James Ellroy. To name, 5? Which makes you no higher than my 6th favorite storyteller. And maybe even a little lower if I really stop to consider it. And that's when it hits me. If John Grisham can make shit up, so can I. So what's a good handle for me? Let's see. Of course, we'll start with America's. But I don't want to flat out copy, so favorites out. So what the hell? Let's go with best. And now I've got America's best. So what comes next? I don't want or like storyteller. Sounds like nursery rhymes. So let's just tell it like it is. For better than 30 years now, I've been writing true crime and crime fiction. That makes me crime writer. So there you have it. In 3 shakes, 2, 3 of a lamb's tail, I anoint myself America's best crime writer. One day, when you got nothing else to do, go online, put quotation marks around America's best crime writer, and don't use the apostrophe in America's, and see who pops up. And by the way, I use both Clint Eastwood and Charles Bronson on my America's Best Crime Writer logo. So, John Grisham, thanks for the assist. Now, in an earlier podcast, I mentioned that I decided to become a crime writer after reading Harold Robbins' bestseller, The Adventurers, way back in 1968. And just now, I described how I anointed myself America's Best Crime Writer. That was about 4 years ago, which puts 50 years in between reading The Adventurers and anointing myself America's Best Crime Writer. Trust me, there's an awful lot that went down during those 50 years. And little by little, like Quentin Tarantino directing a movie, we'll flash back and flash forward and get into most of it as time goes on. But now, time for a little plug. Oh, Blondie's here. I don't know if she's on the screen or not, but she's here. Hey, baby. I mentioned that Warner Books published Born to be Wild. That was better than 30 years ago, and it's still selling to this day. Well, 2 weeks ago, I published Cleopatra Murdered. And between you and me, Cleopatra Murdered is my fictional adaptation of Born to be Wild. It's also... You want to get on my lap, baby? You want to get on the camera? Come on. It's also an outlaw biker saga. The opening scene takes place at the same time and same place as the opening scene in Born to be Wild, but the people are different. And what happens thereafter is different, much different. All figments of my imagination. Oh, baby doll's in here. Hey, Blondie, take a look at the camera. Say hello. Cleopatra, hey, baby. Smile at the camera. That's a good girl. Cleopatra Murdered is the first episode of the Lou Kaminsky series. I foresee at least a dozen episodes, perhaps more. And just who is this Lou Kaminsky? Well, picture Charles Bronson in Death Wish, and that's pretty much the way I see Lou Kaminsky. The man who's tracking down the killers one by one. By the way, I ran into Charlie Bronson early one Sunday morning in Malibu, 1990 or so. I'll share that meeting with you one day. Cleopatra Murdered is available now at Amazon in paper and as an ebook. So, that's it for now. Thanks for stopping in. Until next time, see you. And that's a wrap.